Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for more blue-white Death and Taxes. So again, we're playing with XJ Cloud's list from the prelim a while back that has Unsettled Mariner, Meddling Mage, and a few other things. Check the deck on Monday for more info. Blah. Alright, nope. Yep. Vial 3 is going back here. So the real question here is, do we play the vial in the middle of the hand or on the right side of the hand? Gonna go with the middle of the hand vial. Alright, we have a vial. We'll have some questions to ask ourselves for the rest of this game. Like, are we going to play out the second vial on turn 2? Are we going to board our opponent? Are we just going to die to a turn 1 Grizzlebrand? No, we're playing against Death Shadow Delver. So we don't have any creatures currently. But if we can shut off my opponent's counterspells for the rest of the game, that alone is probably pretty strong. There's an argument for not even playing out that land there and just playing the second vial into Daze. But if my opponent dazes that successfully and trades for a card, it also lowers their life total, which is actually a good thing for them at this time. If my opponent plays a creature, I think I will just Swords to Plowshare it without playing around Daze, so I can port them the following turn. But it would really depend on how threatening a creature it was. I'd say at this point, my odds of winning and my opponent's odds of winning are probably pretty similar. My opponent has gas, whereas I don't, but I've set myself up extremely well for the rest of this game. Losing that Swords to Plowshares there is going to be a little rough. We now say that my opponent is favored. But I'm just one top deck recruiter away from, completely destroying this game. Let's play that into a Daze. Nice. So playing that into the Daze there, if my opponent has the Daze, they can lower their life total more. But if they don't have the Daze, then I have something that can pick up the Jitte and really do a lot of work versus any of their smaller creatures. And also, like, with the combination of another creature, also just trade for many of the things that they have going there. The difference between 2 and 3 mana for that deck is basically none. Yikes. That is legit scary. Alright, come on, sweet card. Ah! So that is the fourth vial of the game. We already bottomed one. Lose half of my life total this turn. God, I wish Deputy of Detention was in the main deck. So I'm going to play out this vial. It's not exactly a fantastic line. But playing out the vial is going to allow me to work towards some recruiter-based lines for the future, where like I recruiter, soul herder, blink the recruiter. I think my opponent having the fetch land there and going to 5 eliminates a lot of those. I take 16 here, so now I have to block both Death Shadows next turn. And I don't think I can vial in the Soul Herder and block that turn, because I will just die to a Dismember or Snuff Out. So we'll go yes to that one, no to the other 2 for this turn. Alright. That's our deck there. Arkans haven't been having a lot of success with blue-black Death Shadow. Alright, so Path and Swords are good. Deputy of Detention as a removal spell is fine. Jitte isn't actually good in this matchup, despite the fact that it's equipment. Man, I tried that deck yesterday. 3 leagues and the best result were 3-2. Yup! I'm not feeling great about it either. And I'm recording. Council Judgment is also probably good enough. We can consider maybe Peacekeeper or Rest in Peace as well. Let's figure out what I don't really want. So, I'm going to see it. Is it AR4? How on earth does Arkan spell his name? Darn you, Leet Speak. What did he rename himself on Twitter? Jedi Council? Nope, not that one. Okay, I give up. This is probably too fair of a fight to want Force of Will. I'm probably 1 for 1-ing a lot of the time with these cards. Should consider cutting some X1 creatures for Plague Engineer reasons. I think most of the stuff up here is probably going to be pretty good. Peacekeeper also falls apart to Plague Engineer on Human. That's a little unfortunate. I'm going to trim 2 Thalias, play a Peacekeeper, not attack the graveyard. I don't think the most recent lists are playing Stifle. So I'm not just going to fetch Plains on one, because I actually might want Tundra. I'm already going to be susceptible to Wasteland, so it often makes sense to lean into that rather than play around it. Oh, that's awkward, because I really don't want to show the Caracas while playing the Thalia, but I don't think I get a choice if I want to play around Stifle. I mean, I'm happy that that resolves. That means that unless my opponent has Snuff Out, they have to use their next turn to get rid of Thalia, and if they don't use their turn to get rid of Thalia, I just get to do cool things. don't have what I'd call an objectively powerful hand because my mana is weak. But it's probably above average in terms of card quality for this stage of the game. The Thalia as a top deck was really a boon. The Bob. Yeah, I'll probably just bounce that and attack in. Can't Council's Judgment because of my Thalia attacks. And Thalia also makes the petty theft of Brazen Borrower cost more. Yep, I mean, that's something I was already aware of and slightly afraid of. Don't mind drawing that, because that means I can play Council's Judgment around days. Or I can just hold up Spell Queller. Don't want to play Recruiter into it. How much do I want to just answer that Plague Engineer? I think I want to hold up Spell Queller. This also just represents casting Brazen Borrower too, so I don't super mind it. Good enough? Good enough. Like, with my opponent's life total where it's at, they can't necessarily play some of their best cards yet. Like, the Death Shadow isn't effective yet. Eh. Alright, you get your Brainstorm. We still trade Spell Queller for Fatal Push, which is fine. Maybe not ideal, but fine. And now I just have to decide what I want to do about this Plague Engineer. It may just be that I'm casting Brazen Borrower. This Deputy is interesting. Kind of want to wait longer to cast that. Current plan for my turn is flash in Brazen Borrower, block a flipped Delver. Yes, I knew about that. But the thing about casting the Brazen Borrower while the Brainstorm is still on top of their deck is that it will still allow them to sculpt the rest of their turn to beat the Brazen Borrower. So I don't at all regret my timing. That Holland Fountain. So I need to take something off the table here. And the question is what? I can Deputy of Detention take the Plague Engineer off the table, so Recruiter of the Guard can become a thing that actually has text. I can just Council's Judgment away the Bob. Take 5, Deputy the Delver the following turn. I don't hate that. I don't know that I win this game if they start drawing more cards with Bob. I'm going to use my life total as a resource here. It just doesn't feel great. I'm going to 6, then I can remove Delver for a turn, or remove Plague Engineer. I'm really looking to draw a Swords to Plowshares or something like that to help me stabilize from these bodies. So looking for Swords to Plowshares, Path. An impactful 2-drop would also be acceptable. Maybe we don't really have those. I think this deck is constructed in a way that gives it many of the same problems that the Esper Vile deck that I played has. So that's interesting. So I can Venser something back to my opponent's hand, block, bounce Venser. I'm still taking damage in process. I can Recruiter for Peacekeeper. I play Recruiter, I take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, that doesn't work. Yeah, alright. I'm going to go ahead and concede this one here. Like, I can technically live another turn, but I don't actually get anywhere by doing it. Alright, we'll see if we can put a W on the board tomorrow.